Kanafi. Hola. Hello. Welcome to Belize, the home of the second largest barrier reef in the world. A beautiful country with 8,867 square miles of beautiful flora and fauna, located in Central America. This country is the home to many diverse cultural groups, all occupying 6 districts. The Mestizos and the Mayans, mainly in the north, in Carrizal and Droit, the Creole, mainly in the Belize district, the Mennonites, mainly in Spanish Lookout, located in the Kaya district, along with the Garifuna, mainly in Stan Creek and the south. Apart from that, these ethnic groups are widely mixed all over the country, creating such a melting pot that we call our home. Today, the Computer Science Department has brought together a video that will highlight how technology has affected each of these cultural groups, both positively and negatively. Enjoy!
My name is Erica Gomez, and today we present to you guys about how technology has influenced positively the Mennonite community. The first Mennonites to arrive in Belize was in 1958 as a part of a diplomatic mission. They either came from Canada, Chihuahua, or Mexico. They are also known to be descendants of the Anabaptist fault. When the Mennonites first got here, it was difficult for them to get their goods during the rainy season because of the mud being caused. However, they didn't give up and instead found new techniques to produce better roads with the use of graders and machines in Spanish Lookout. The Mennonites then started to cut logwood such as mahogany and cedar, where 15 men joined together to carry the logwood 100 feet to the sawmill. Therefore, the use of tractors replaced the 15-man job and made the work even faster, and no longer did the Mennonites have to get tired from carrying the logwood. Moreover, Deidre Frinson and Thomas Frinson were some of the first Mennonites who began to build furniture. Another way in which technology made a positive impact in their life is the use of combines. Before combines came into existence, the Mennonites used aprons from sacks where they strap over their shoulder to pick corn while walking 100 to 200 feet in the field. And when breaking the corn, they would make piles along the field about 200 feet away. Therefore, combines made the process faster since they used to pick up the corn and break it. Furthermore, the Belize community has benefited from the Mennonite community since it provides products the country needs and it provides jobs to our people. Lastly, the Mennonites have a huge influence in the agribusiness and the agri-processing sector in the country due to the livestock being produced such as chicken, products from western dairies such as milk and cheese, and the harvesting of rice, corn, and tea. Therefore, technology has caused a huge positive impact in the life of the Mennonites by making their life much easier than how it was before. Thank you.
Garifuna. How technology have positively or negatively impacted the Garifuna. Who are the Garinagos? A brief history. Garinago were inhabitants of Urime, St. Vincent, and were therefore exiled and not deported from their homeland. 5,000 Garinago were exiled to the island of Balisao in 1790. Let's hear more. Dance. A dance performed primarily during the Christmas holidays, the Jankono, also known as the Wanarga, is a cultural staple in the Garifuna towns and villages throughout Central America and the Caribbean. The Garinago have several dances including the Paranda, Dugo, Hugo Hugo, Chumba, and the well-known Punta, and the Palasa, a parandero made Belize, and the Garinago, well known on the world of music. Food. The food consists of combination of foods and spices that are distinctive to the Garifuna culture. Primary diet includes cassava, coconut milk, and oil. fish, plantains, bananas, and other ground foods. The traditional Garifuna colors are yellow, black, and white. Women often wear long dresses sewn from checkered material along with colored headpieces, whereas the males they wear a dashiki. Language. The Garinago native language is Garifuna. Buiti Benafi, Ida Beange, means good morning. How are you? Buiti Guyong, good night. Buiti Rambawe, good afternoon. How did technology impact positively? Music made worldwide because of studio and the World Wide Web. The use of grinders made life easier for them to finish a food dish in less time. Language is now taught online to persons interested in the language. Dance is recorded for presentation in the tourism industry and to help to teach persons who are willing to learn this dance move. How did technology impact negatively? The music may be faced with discrimination. The traditional way of making food may be lost. The language may not be spoken by persons of the culture, making the language slowly disappear. The traditional dancing is lost due to trying to use what the internet has to show.
To begin with, I would like to start with a brief history on the Mestizo culture in Belize. So, the Mestizo are a mixture of Spanish and Mayan. They represent roughly about 48% of the Belizean population today. They were originally in Belize in 1847 as refugees escaping the Caste War. That was when over about 70,000 Maya revolted against the Spaniards throughout the Yucatan. They had annihilated over one third of the population, and the survivors, which were mostly mestizo, had fled over the border to British territory, as we know today, Belize. Since the 1980s, thousands of refugee mestizos from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras have established communities near the capital city of Omapan. While those living in the Stan Creek district have found employment in the citrus and banana industries, descendants of the earlier settlers have also inhabited the more northernly islands on Cape Cocker and Ambergris Caye. Due to your background being a mixture of Spanish and Mayan, you would assume their food would follow suit, which is correct. Their foods consist of food items such as relleno, escabeche, chirmole, and tamales. That came from the Mexican side, while food items such as corn tortilla were handed down from the Mayan side. While technology did not have a direct impact on the food created by the mestizo culture, it did have an impact in the cultivation of it. As many people know, mestizos are some of the first cane farmers in Belize. Before, they had to use items such as machetes to cut the cane, they no longer have to use that. With machinery such as a sugarcane harvester, they no longer have to be in the fields to cut the cane, they just have the machine do it for them. The clothing worn by the mestizos today is drastically different compared to that they wore in the past. The clothing worn today is closer to modern day fashion. T-shirts, jeans, shorts, so forth. But what was worn in the past was more culturally defining. The women would wear a pils, which is a long white dress with flower embroidery on it, while the males wore guayaberas, which is a white shirt buttoned down with embroidery or pleats.
In mestizo dances, music comes basically from the marimba, but they also serenade with the guitar. Dances performed at village fiestas include the mestizada, the hoghead, zapateros, jarana, quadrilles, and paso doble. Mestizo regard fiestas as a means of celebration, as well as to promote social bonding and cultural identity. The technological influence on the dance, the mestizo culture traditional dances would normally be performed during your La Gran Mestizada festival. Now their dances are also being performed on stages at places like the Bliss, with their music pre-recorded or played live and amplified through the facility's advanced surround sound system. Even though mestizo are more Spanish in their customs than the Maya, and their language and religion have distinguished them from the Creole, the mestizo and Creole, who are both the outcome of cultural synthesis, have been mixing and borrowing from each other. Since the 20th century, mestizo culture has become more open, which is best demonstrated in the role they are playing in the development and unification of Belizean society, especially in the process in intermarriage. In being conscious of perpetuating the legacy of their ancestral roots, mestizo have mostly been able to make intelligent choices to stabilize their culture and adapt to community around them.
In India, more than 1.3 billion people living. India is a land of many cultural livings. Unity through diversity is the main attraction to India by many of the foreign countries, like United States.
Science.com, culture is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. My group and I will be focusing on Indian culture. Among the world's oldest culture, civilization in India began about 4,500 years ago. It is described as Sapratama Sanskrati Vishvavara, which translates to the first and supreme culture in the world.
As the world progressed from horses to steam to electricity, the nature of conflict changed. Fewer guns and germs, more minds and laws.
On the other hand, can be described as the use of equipment and machinery that were developed as a result of scientific knowledge. Technology is used every day to enhance the way of life. In this video, my group and I will be illustrating to you how technology has impacted or changed the way that cultures traditionally do things.
Today, I will be talking about the food, clothing, and social life of the East Indians. The East Indians originally came from India, where they came to our country Belize and settled in the district of Toledo. They are known for cultivating sugarcane and rice. My grandfather was a sugarcane worker. The food styles are very unique and very traditional, having so many flavors and aromas to them. For example, flavors like the turmeric powder, which is made from yellow ginger, and yellow ginger is a spice. This is a spice that is put into your chicken to flavor it, and it's really good, delicious. Another example would be the cohoon cabbage, which comes from the heart of the cohoon tree, and the dal roti made from split peas and tortillas. So the split peas is grind up and it is stuffed into the tortilla and it is baked. And you can also eat that with turmeric tikari chicken, which is really, really delicious too. And these are some of our main dishes that we eat. The social life of the East Indians. So Hindu immigrants engage mostly in merchandising sectors. Many of the young East Indians working in their stores were brought as indentured workers. And instead of returning to India, they stayed in our country where they set up their own places or shops for businesses from the savings on their wage. So for example, you can see these Indians that are in the merchandise sector, like on Albert Street, where they sell a wide variety of clothes, shoes, and whatever you need. Also clothing for the women. Traditional Indian clothing for women in north and east are saris worn with choli tops, a long skirt called a lenga or pavada worn with a choli, and a dubata scarf to create an ensemble called a garaga choli. While many South Indian women traditionally wear sari and children wear putalanga. Hence the reason East Indian, because of the clothing that is worn.
In general, India has become much more open and receptive to scientific discoveries and new technology. To first see how technology has impacted Indian culture, we must first look at what we define culture to be. Culture is known as or can be defined as characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, entailing language, religion, food, social habits, music, and arts. Due to the exposure of the internet, Indian culture has become more inclined to Western influence. English has become much more pervasive in India, and a large number of people are learning and performing various forms of Western dances due to the presence of digital technology. Flat or apartment systems of living has changed the social structure of India quite a bit as well. Messaging apps, software, and internet technology are all helping greatly in the jobs and businesses of India. This technology is also helping India to become more developed and leading in the IT department. These are just some of the many ways technology has impacted India.
The Creole culture is one of the largest cultural groups in Belize. We extend from the north end to the south end of this country. Our culture stems from history, where it has changed now, and it's all thanks to our technology revolution. Sambai refers to the rhythm style, drum style, and event from the village of Gales Point, Manatee. The Sambai rhythm is the most unique aspect of Creole culture from Manatee. The Sambai is by tradition considered a fertility dance and occurs during the full moon cycle. In recent times, the Sambai has developed into simply a social event and is no more a fertility ritual than most other nighttime activities involving music, dancing, and sometimes alcohol. Elders remember the days when children were not allowed to participate in the Sambai. Although children are allowed to be at a Sambai, now the event has not changed much since the old days. The circle of dancers and drummers gather around a pine wood fire. Drummers begin playing and call the song, then the crowd answers. This call and response style is typical of the African tradition. The Brockdown rhythm is mostly played around Christmas time. To participate in the festivities is to bram. The Christmas time custom of bram is still practiced in Gales Point. It's one of the few places that do so. On Christmas Day, drummers and partiers gather at one end of the village. They drum, dance, eat, and drink their way from one end of the village to the other. Participating household offers food like rice and beans with ham, black cake or light cake, homemade wine and soft drinks. There's anise, rum, and Campari too. The drummers play traditional Brockdown call and response songs. They finish the evening with a Sambai. The next day, Boxing Day, the whole process starts over where they left off and the crowd parties its way back to the other end of the village. Notice the difference in dance styles between Bram and Sambai. When people Bram, they dance together and in a crowd. Women often dance together with the body contact. Of course, there is no circle around a fire when people they Bram because they are moving house to house. Thank you.
Chinese communication. In the past, we the Chinese uses pigeon to pass on information. You see, there's a pigeon in the air, fly high, pass on my lovely letter to the girl in the town. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. 6 months later, the pigeon miraculously reached the girl. But why did she look so confused? It's because that she couldn't read the letter stand during the traveling. So, you see, pigeon pose is not really a good idea. However, we got technology today. It explodes. Many devices are inventing, including cell phone and laptop, desktop, to allow us to communicate within the network. Anywhere, anytime, even in the bathroom or across the ocean, we can communicate within the signal with precise and accurate information. from the past, Pigeon Post, to present day, WeChat, the most used communication software by the Chinese.
Chinese business. In the past, Chinese shopkeepers would use simple tools such as the abacus to help them calculate their sales. The abacus could do basic mathematical operations such as addition and subtraction, and the way that it worked was that from left to right you had beads which represented the place values, and as you moved the beads towards the center divider you could generate a value. However, the disadvantages of using an abacus were that you could not do advanced functions such as calculating tax percentage, doing decimal multiplication, nor could you show negative values. But that's where modern technology comes in. Today we have electronic calculators, cash registers, and even advanced POS systems. So gone is the past where you could only add and subtract physical money, and now we have the present, where we could calculate complex mathematical problems with just a few clicks, conveniently store cash, navigate the system using a graphical user interface, and even accept credit cards.
We're going to take a look at Chinese socialization. One of the most prominent forms of Chinese socialization is through festivals. Some of the festivals that are celebrated are the Lantern Festival, which is celebrated on the 15th day of the first lunar month, and the Mid-Autumn Festival, which is celebrated on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month. Chinese New Year is one of the most important festivals in the Chinese culture. It dates back to over 4,000 years ago, and it is celebrated from the 1st to the 15th day of the first lunar month. But how has technology changed the way these festivals are celebrated? Thanks to technological advancements such as video chatting and instant messaging, it's easier to communicate with loved ones who are miles apart, and virtual red envelopes are able to be sent. A red envelope is a traditional gift that is given to a friend or a family member on Chinese New Year.
So today we're looking at how technology impact the construction world in China. First, there was hard labor, and everyone had to work under strict weather conditions, and it just took extremely long time to build a building or a structure. Now there's the use of graphic designer machines that are used to create a building or a structure before it is actually built. And there is also the use of VR to see how it will look in real life. And there are use of cement making machines that makes the process a lot more easier for the workers and the constructors to do their job.
The Mayan culture. How technology has impacted the way Mayans have done traditional things.
A brief history of the Mayans. The Maya civilization was one of the most dominant indigenous societies of Mesoamerica, centered in the tropical lowlands. The Maya excelled at agriculture, pottery, writing, calendar making, and mathematics, and left behind an astonishing amount of impressive architecture and symbolic work.
We have three different types of Mayas. First, we have the Mopan Maya. Secondly, we have the Yucatec Maya. And thirdly, we have the Quechua Maya. They are all natives to Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. Food preparation. The Maya's main dish is caldo. The soup is prepared with chicken and eaten with corn tortilla or poch. Special occasion dishes include pibil and tamales.
How did technology impact the Mayas?
Instead of using fire hearths, they have begun to use modern methods of cooking using gas stoves.
Instead of using hand grinder, Mayans now use mechanized corn mill machines.
They can pre-record their music and replay it anytime, with better quality sound, especially for a special occasion.
Mayans used to create weapons and tools from stones for various uses such as farming, gathering, and hunting. Nowadays, tools can be bought at a hardware store or tractors for agriculture, and weapons including shotguns and rifles for hunting.
The Mayans used to sew clothes and embroider designs with their hand. Now sewing can be made easier with sewing machines. Some Mayas went from living in temples to living in thatch houses. Now they live in more modernized houses made with cement.
Thank you for watching our video.